How's it going, everybody? This is Dominic Minchella. I am the Kansas City Chiefs co-beat writer for On SI and the host of the Kansas City Chiefs Insider Podcast. Now, I know why you guys are stopping in today. We are going to be recapping the Week 2 Super Bowl 59 rematch between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, let me just start off by saying, going into this game, I had a strong feeling that it was going to be an uphill battle for the Kansas City Chiefs in order to take down the Philadelphia Eagles. However, once they started playing, right from the get-go, the way that the defense looked, this was a completely different game compared to how it was in the Super Bowl. And I think that that's a crucial takeaway initially, just to come out and say it from the loss. While the Chiefs would have loved to start their season 1-1 rather than 0-2. 0-2 for the first time since 2014, might I add. 0-2 for the first time in Patrick Mahomes' career, might I add. The Chiefs, they had opportunities to win this game. Before we get into all of that, that's just my opening statement. But all in all, the Chiefs did play a strong game. I've gone on record on the podcast saying, and I've given examples that the defense needed to hold the Eagles and any of their opponents to 20 or less points. As we've seen, it's been a multitude of games for the Kansas City Chiefs on defense where they're allowing more than 20 points. Now, I know that the Eagles scored exactly 20 as a final of 20-17 by the reigning Super Bowl champions. But the Chiefs' offense has had a way to win this game. Let's break down some of the things. First off, Patrick Mahomes, while he didn't have a lot of success when passing the football, in fact, he brought in 187 passing yards, averaging 6.4 yards per completion. He also had one touchdown and an interception. He evaded getting sacked 14 times, but got brought down twice. The offensive line, initially I said in the podcast yesterday that the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line, they needed to have a game where they didn't see Patrick Mahomes go down all that often. As soon as Josh Simmons went off to the sideline early into the game, we did see Patrick Mahomes get brought down, which was not a super positive sign for the Kansas City Chiefs, especially for their fan base. But all in all, I think that the offensive line did their job. They allowed the Chiefs or especially Patrick Mahomes, to have some opportunities. Unfortunately, though, the Eagles, they've just got a really good defense. There are a lot of defenders were covering receiving option and targets for Mahomes. And even when they wanted to have the running game to try and get those extra yards or first downs and all that, it wasn't there. In fact, I mentioned it last week that the Kansas City Chiefs going into this game, they had to keep it close, which they did, so they could utilize their rushing attack. However, when I said that, I was hoping and looking for Isaiah Pacheco to kind of have an explosive game, seeing that he's had a good career, several career good starts against the Philadelphia Eagles. That just wasn't the case in this game. He had 10 carries, which was the most, and he had the third most rushing yards. He averaged 2.2 rushing yards per carry, and his longest was 7. Patrick Mahomes, for the second week in a row, has led the Kansas City Chiefs in rushing yards. This week, he came away with 66. He even scored a touchdown. His longest was a 22-yard scramble to the end zone to get the Kansas City Chiefs on the board. So, yeah, there's that. I think that the rushing game wasn't terrific. They had between Kareem Hunt, man, he, for the times that he had it and he was out there, he looked reliable, but he was also being utilized in just trying to get first downs rather than an extensive, explosive play. He came away with 31 rushing yards in 8 carries. The second thing that I do want to mention is that I thought the Kansas City Chiefs had several ways to win this game. We saw it early. Their defense, the Chiefs defense that is, held the Eagles offense to a fairly good chunk of offense, like a lack of offense, that is. Whether that be both in the second and the third quarter, they only scored 3 points. The second quarter was the highest scoring quarter for the Chiefs. They scored 10. They got an extra touchdown in the fourth to try and give them a last grasp at hope with that long throw to Tyquan Thornton. But there was also multiple throws that Patrick Mahomes just kind of overthrew. Some of the throws, Tyquan Thornton had a chance to catch it. It didn't necessarily go his way, whether that was trying to be explosive or even just like a side pass to Hollywood Brown or something like that. There was a lot of opportunities for them to get the ball rolling, and they almost did. And then almost simultaneously as this happened, it almost seemed like their momentum went from a positive trajectory right into, oh, wow, the chances of winning this game are not very high. And that was Travis Kelce fumbling the football on a pass from Patrick Mahomes that would have put him in the end zone. Surely, I mean, can't say would because, hindsight's 2020. He wasn't there yet, but it just looked like with the momentum that he had. Unfortunately, he fumbled it, and it went right into the hands of an Eagles defender and was returned close to the halfway point on the football field. And you could just kind of feel and see the passion kind of and the drive kind of go, eh. And I think that's going to be something that's going to bother him. I did say that Travis Kelce needed to have a good game, and I think for the most part he did, kind of, until that point. He had 4 receptions, go for 61 receiving yards, no touchdowns, 6 targets. Longest reception was 23 yards. Tyquan Thornton, he was out there in 2 receptions and 5 targets, bringing in 59 receiving yards and scoring that touchdown late in the fourth quarter. But I do think that, so far from what we've seen from Travis Kelce's season is, in the first week, he just kind of stopped at the end zone, hoping that they were able to come away with a touchdown pass. Didn't work out. He ran into Xavier Worthy, which is completely accidental, but it does start to look like a lot of bad luck coming the Kansas City Chiefs' way, because you can see that this offense is completely different without Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy. Not saying that the receiving options that they do have aren't accessible in order to be successful. I think Tyquan Thornton, Hollywood Brown, and Travis Kelce getting a multitude of looks was good. I think that Noah Gray could have got it utilized a little bit more, although like I said, it's tough to kind of look at this. The Eagles defense, they came with a game plan and they executed it seemingly perfectly, holding the Kansas City Chiefs and pushing them to an 0-2 record. I think going forward, though, they've got the New York Giants coming up in week 3. They are on the road. I do think that from starting 0-2, there will be panic within the Chiefs' kingdom, but I don't think it's time to panic for the entirety of the campaign. This game was a lot closer. The Chiefs' offense did as much as they could, but it just kind of had one too many missed opportunities that led to a defeat. This game was winnable, but you can't change it now. You got to learn from the mistakes and move forward. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, I want to know your thoughts, whether it be in the comments below if you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening to the podcast. You can always follow me over on X at Dom Minchella. I post and repost every single day of Kansas City Chiefs news. You're not going to want to miss any coverage that we've got going as the regular season prolongs. We've also got our X page. You can follow us at KC Chiefs on SI. We post everything there, analysis, stories, podcasts, anything Kansas City Chiefs related. We've got you covered. Kansas City Chiefs on SI is the place to get your Kansas City Chiefs news. With that, though, ladies and gentlemen, as always, be kind to one another. Let me know what you think about the Kansas City Chiefs starting 0-2, and I will see you tomorrow.